Nestled between a cleft of soft-rolling hills and the steady surf of the Pacific coast is an inconspicuous set of squat buildings in Del Mar that might, at first glance, conjure memories of childhood dentist visits. But hidden beneath this tranquil teal awning is one of the finest restaurants in all of Southern California, Pamplemousse Grill, a French country kitchen that has for 3 decades catered to luminaries and socialites across the worlds of business, politics, and entertainment. And now I'm here, a guy who somehow is backed into a life spent in parallel to some of the world's most famous and influential people, but never, like a Ghostbuster, crossing streams. Actually, scratch that. They did cross streams, didn't they? Tonight, I'm sitting down for a casual, frank, perhaps even a bit too frank, conversation with a man who is undoubtedly more at home in these surroundings than myself, Joe Harper, CEO of the Mar Thoroughbred Club, to learn all about horse racing, classic Hollywood, and what it was like growing up with one of the world's most famous film directors for a grandfather. This is A Few Beers with Joe Harper. I'm Pat Shanley. Today I'm at Pamplemousse Grill in Del Mar having a few beers with Joe Harper. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah.
I should actually cheers as well.
Yeah. There you go.
And Joe, for people who don't know you by name, you are the CEO of the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club. Is that correct?
Right. Commonly known as the racetrack.
Right. Exactly. So
right across the street.
I didn't realize that. So the club is separate from the racetrack, or are they one and the same? Is this two different entities?
The racetrack is actually owned by the state of California. It's the fairgrounds.
Okay.
And so we rent it. We have a long-term lease to run racing there.
Okay.
Which is, they like us because the rent check's pretty good size. Yeah.
I would imagine so, given that piece of property.
100% of our net profits we go to rent. So.
Has that been the case the entire time you've been there? Is that
Yes, it has.
Okay.
Yeah. We felt that the facility itself, was kind of getting old. Mm-hmm. This was going back before, in the 70s, 60s. And so we figured if we come down here, run a successful race meet, put everything we make into a capital improvement fund, then we'd have enough money to go to the state and say, look, you've got all this rent money, now let's spend it.
So this was by design then to go and sell?
This was by design, yeah. So starting in 1980s, we started building a new facility.
It's fascinating to me how you say that. I don't want to say cavalierly because I'm sure there's a lot involved, but let's just go and start a racetrack and build it up to sell it to the state of California is a thing that most people have probably not said that sentence before.
Well, yeah, the state was a little concerned that anybody would go in there and give us everything they make. And it's like, no, don't you keep any rent? I said, no, we don't want to keep rent. We want to build this thing up for the good of racing in California. We think it could be very successful. And let's put all the profits we make back into this facility. So the fairgrounds, the state, was a big winner of this thing and has been over the years. So we've given them millions upon millions of dollars, and an $80 million grandstand was built with that money. So
was the gambling a hard thing to negotiate there?
No, it's by the state. So there's X number of racing days allotted to the state of California, basically in districts, northern and southern, really.
Interesting.
And so there are X so many weeks of racing in the southern zone. We picked up some when Hollywood Park folded its tent. And so we went from 7 weeks to 9 weeks or 15 weeks or whatever we got now. So that made us more profitable.
What's the thinking behind that? Is it for horse safety? Is it just the way the seasons work? I apologize. These are probably very dumb questions anybody who actually knows.
There's no dumb questions.
Give me time. Give me time.
But it's worked well. I mean, this is the state of California owns this. It's a fairgrounds. Mm-hmm. And so this is a very successful fairgrounds money-wise because thoroughbred racing is there. And you can't ask for a better location.
Oh, yeah, it's unbelievable.
It's low, yeah. And the summer months. And so we've tried to when we got the lease many years ago, it was our intent to put all the money back into this facility to make it really something. Yeah. It was, at that time, it was a pretty aging 1920-some building. So
it's funny because we're almost as far away now from then as when you bought it. Sorry, I don't mean to say it in that, but you're right. 50 years, yeah. So
yeah, and it was. I remember when I first got down here, it was old, and it was owned by the state. So the state architect, who was a good friend, I called him. I said, "Just write me a letter that says it's safe." It was a dead silence. He said, "We got to talk."
Oh no!
Yeah. I said, "Okay." So then, in a few months, we had all the plans in place, and we're going to go with the entire master plan, which was to actually level the whole thing.
Wow, really? So you started from scratch, really?
And it was sad. I mean, I came down as a kid with my mom for racing back in the 50s.
Okay.
And it was just, it had a lot of charm to that old place, you know, but it was old.
Yeah.
It was unreinforced adobe. So I remember when
It's made of adobe?
Adobe, yeah.
Like a chimenea?
I will tell you, it was put up in the Depression by the Works Progress Association. I think it was the WPA.
Okay.
Now, if you remember your history, which I didn't, the
I'm
Works
gonna nod like I
Progress,
do.
you know all those out of work stockbrokers during the Depression?
The ones that didn't jump off
they
the...
didn't know what to do, but they needed money, so
Yeah.
they turned them into bricklayers. Of course, they had no idea how to lay a brick. But we had this grandstand made by the WPA, and it was fragile, so to say, yeah. And
Made it 50 years.
Yeah, it did, and it was making me a little nervous. I started losing board members because of liability insurance issues and things like that. So we decided, hey, we gotta do this right. So we did it.
Well, now it's a beautiful facility, obviously, and it's also one of the... Correct me if I'm wrong, it's one of the premier racetracks in the United States, but here in San Diego, it's certainly a landmark. I mean, everyone I speak to who's not from here has heard of the Del Mar Racetrack.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's largely in part to its beginnings. You know, we were a product of Hollywood. Bing Crosby, Pat O'Brien, those guys, Bob Hope, they came down. You know, Bing Crosby owned a house just up the road a little bit, and he looked at this place and said, you know, let's make a racetrack. We should talk to the state and get this ball rolling.
I don't think I've heard that bit of history either. So Bing Crosby is directly responsible?
Bing Crosby actually was, yeah. He and Pat O'Brien was another actor of that era, and Bob Hope was involved too to some degree. Bob was a friend, and he and Dolores would come down to racing. And I asked him one day, I said, how did this start, you know? He said, it just was Hope. He said, we got to do something, or Crosby. And he said, you guys, I know I have a marketing plan. He didn't say, I think marketing wasn't a word then, but a publicity plan.
Okay.
And the publicity plan was to bring all his friends from Hollywood down here, build a facility, and then bring the guys down that, oh my God, that's Tyrone Power. That's, you know, all those big names of that era. They were all here. And when they were here, you know, in those days, no TV.
Right.
The only place you could see a star, other than on the big screen, was maybe hopefully going into a restaurant in Hollywood somewhere. But down here, you could see them. They were all over the place.
Wow. It's amazing because that same strategy obviously is used now and has been used probably before then too. Just get recognizable people there that seem cool.
That's
and then
right, yeah.
bring
I
more
want
people
to be
there.
with them. Yeah,
exactly.
sure.
Hobnobbing with Bob Hope.
And that's exactly what happened. And Hope came out a couple of times, he and Dolores, and he told me the story about how he did. And, you know, I said, well, did you have to come down, Bob, or do you want to come down? He said, I will tell you, yes, we did want to come down. But when Bing said come down, we went. He had, you know, in those days, most of the talent in Hollywood was owned by a studio.
Yes.
You had your contract, and that was it. You got up in the morning when they told you to get up. You went out with this person. You went up here for lunch. You did, you know.
Oh, so they really owned you. It wasn't,
you. And I think that Bing, because he was a singer and an actor, somehow he had a little freedom in there. Somehow he had call his own shots. At least that's what Hope told me. And he said, I think that's why he had a little more power base than a normal celebrity would have.
That's interesting because it's coming from somebody like Bob Hope. So it wasn't just the star level that somebody was. Obviously, Bing Crosby was a huge star, but so was Bob Hope, and he did not have that type of autonomy. So that's interesting to me. So maybe that is what it was.
Yeah, it's interesting. That's where we got our start.
Were they racing fans? And then I guess I'll spin it back to you too. How did you get into being a race fan to begin with? So because it seems like a lot of your life was dictated by being around horses.
Well, I was. I think they were fans. I think, you know, in those days it was. People went, you know, it was before the Major League ball clubs came down here, and racing was, I think, a little more of an entertainment venue than it is now. I think that, you know, going to Santa Anita, then to Hollywood Park, then to Del Mar, it was a circuit. Good horses came. The people liked to bet on the good horses came, and when you had a star quality about a racetrack. And that's not here, but Hollywood Park as well, in Santa Anita. Then you had a kind of a built-in marketing plan, you know, with them.
Has that changed over time?
I think
What's
so.
racing like now?
Well, now now we're off-track wagering. We've got all kinds of things going on, and I think it's more about the wagering dollar. The horses are good. We've got a good spot on the calendar with these dates. We do better probably than most racetracks in the state, most racetracks in the country, actually. That's not just because of good management.
I was going to say it's clearly because of everything you're doing over there.
But I think it's more of a where we are, not who we are.
Okay.
And
it doesn't hurt being here, obviously.
No, obviously, Somebody said, "What's your biggest, promotion?" I said, "That big blue thing over there with all the water in it."
God does pretty good
yeah,
PR.
God has handled our PR. Yeah. So it was, its roots were Hollywood, kind of like mine, and it just it melded into a pretty good deal. It had a pretty good base, and it's been that way for a long time.
Since you just touched on it, I'll pivot to that. You have a bit of a Hollywood pedigree to you. I can leave it to you to discuss it at length because I have questions about that. But I find it very fascinating that you come from that background, and maybe that's how you got into horses. Because you said you worked on a farm before you started filming, that you were shoveling horse shit, was the way you eloquently put it. But
yeah, that's right. I got good at that. Right? Got to be good at something.
There's a skill, yeah, exactly. I'm sitting underneath a pig's ass right now.
I noticed that. Yeah. Well, it's my grandfather was a director, Cecil B. DeMille, and who made the Ten Commandments, and made 70-some movies. First one in Hollywood.
Yeah.
My uncle was Anthony Quinn, the actor.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Uncle Tony.
Oh, my mother will be very excited.
He was straight. He'd show up at Christmas time in whatever character he was doing. And I remember he came in. I think he was doing. Was it Zapata? Viva Zapata with Marlon Brando?
Yeah.
He came in, "Joe, to get me some tequila," Okay, Uncle Tony.
Did you think he was crazy, or were you just like?
He was a neat guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a fascinating guy to talk to.
I can imagine.
A tremendous actor.
Yep.
Grandfather hired him once, this was before he married grandfather's daughter.
Okay.
But it was a part for a Sioux Indian, and it was a movie called The Plainsman with Gary Cooper, and he played Wild Bill Hickok. And
wow. Okay.
So Hickok captures this Indian, and he's talking to the Indian, and the Indian is speaking in Sioux. And grandfather was a stickler for authenticity. He said, "I want an Indian who speaks Sioux." Uh-huh. And when the Indian is speaking to him, you see up above the shot, you see the Battle of the Little Bighorn. And so grandfather said, "I want a Sioux. Bring me a Sioux." So Tony, who didn't know anybody in Hollywood at that time, but he was very good looking, and he could certainly play an Indian well. And so he got his agent to introduce him and said that, "Mr. DeMille, this is something rather imponatagla, but he doesn't speak any English. He only speaks Sioux." And so Tony was sitting there telling his agent, and then the agent would say, "He says it's very nice to meet you, Mr. DeMille." And so this went on. Grandfather bought it.
Wow.
And finally, Tony did the right thing. He said, "I'm sorry, Mr. DeMille. I'm not a Sioux Indian. I'm just, I'm a Mexican, basically." And he said, and grandfather was a little mad at first, but he said, "You fooled me, you'll fool an audience."
Wow, unbelievable.
Yeah. And so he got the job as an Indian.
Man, if you had to describe a person in a single story, I feel like that really sums up the character that he must have been.
Tony was a great guy. He was Uncle Tony to me.
Man, unbelievable.
But he would come over for Christmas, and we'd talk. I mean, he was a fascinating guy.
Yeah. You were an actor as well when you were a child?
Well, I wouldn't say I was an actor. I was told to go there and sit and go over here and walk.
That's a lot of acting, to be fair. But
the first job, grandfather would come home from the studio every night, and we would have dinner with him, my mom and dad, and grandfather and grandmother. And so he discussed the day's shooting, whatever picture he was working on. And it was kind of, I just sat there and listened, And so he was talking about, this was The Greatest Show on Earth, the circus movie, won the Oscar for Best Picture of the Year in 1952.
I think I would have guessed 51, but I actually knew that, and now I feel good.
I think it was 52. Yeah. Anyway, he was talking, and he said, "Well, I've got a scene coming up for the train wreck sequence," and he said, "We've written a little boy coming out from underneath the wreckage of the Pullman cars and the train cars, and he comes out and he has a toy soldier and he trips and he drops his toy soldier, and when he turns around he sees a panther that's gotten loose out of the turned over cage, and the little boy reacts to the panther and runs down, and the panther sees him and chases him, and just before the panther is going to catch him, the trainers grab the panther and the little boy jumps in his mother's arms and all that. And so he's describing this to my mother. And he said, well, she said, what are you having trouble with? He said, I can't find a boy.
To be chased by a panther.
So my mother goes, take him.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'm going, eaten by the panther? I'm going, thanks, Mom.
To clarify, you were not eaten by the panther. You were saved by the
Hey, I was, 7 years old, okay. So about a week later, I'm dressed in my little bathrobe because the scene takes place at night. And the train wreck is on its side and steam and guys are throwing stuff and I get okay action. And so I come out from underneath the wreckage and drop my toys. And I pick it up. I react to the panther and I run and the panther chases me. And it's a crab dolly, which is a shot that when you take a camera like that and you put it on a four-wheel little platform. And you move it. And so the camera was moving with me running away from the panther. So I had my marks where I had to go for the best angle, and the guys were throwing lumber and burning stuff, so you had to be careful.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, this is a hell of a first gig.
20, 30 pieces of action going on in this one shot. So I just did my thing, look concerned. I remember somebody said, look concerned. I had no idea what concern was. But so I did it, and I ran and jumped in this woman's arms. And her name was Beulah. She was an actress, but she had red hair when I had red hair then. And so it looked like my mom. You know?
Okay, yeah.
And the only difference was my mom was kind of flat-chested.
Okay.
Beulah was not. And I remember jumping up in her arms and thinking, this is really comfortable. I'm just going to stay here for a while. So anyway, yes.
Seems like the more formative moment than like being in a movie and being chased by a panther was just a big-breasted woman.
Big-breasted Beulah was there. And even at 7, I knew something was comfortable.
Yeah, like,
yeah.
Log that away.
Well, it went 12 takes, and finally they got what they wanted. And so the next day, in the morning, grandfather said, come down to the studio with me, we'll see the rushes. The rushes are what they've shot the day before. Okay. So we go into the projection room there, Paramount Studios, and they show all 12 takes. And I'm going, I look pretty good. You know, hey, I need to get a SAG guard. You know. So he said, no, you were very good. I said, thank you. He said, we can't use it. Yeah. What? He said, no, unfortunately, this was 1952. Mm-hmm. Child endangerment was not something you wanted to put into a movie.
Oh.
It was about circus and kids would watch, you know.
Yeah.
So it was just I guess I did too good a job looking terrified. And so fortunately there was a couple of other shots that I made it in. So
man, God, what an entry into that world.
Yeah, it was fun. The 10 Commandments was a little easier. I was just a Hebrew slave, but
just a Hebrew slave, you know.
Well,
easier to play one to be one, I think.
Yeah, I've got a publicity shot, wardrobe shot of me looking as a Hebrew slave. I look more like a paper boy, Irish paper boy out of work or something.
Would you have a little
I had my little outfit on, Hebrew slave outfit and makeup on, but I got this little turned up nose and this, like I was not a Hebrew slave.
Well, the red hair too, the shock.
Yeah, well, the red hair got a black wig, so that was
makes
good.
Sense.
But but it made a little bit of the picture. So.
Gosh, how did you get into horses? Were you always into horses?
We always had horses. The family had a ranch, and we raised horses on it. First one was here in San Diego, way out by Harmul, and then we moved to a little closer to the house that was in Hollywood. It was up in a canyon, Little Hungry Canyon, and it was about 1,000 acres of land that went back in there. And my mother was a big horsewoman, and she raised thoroughbreds for racing. That's kind of how I started hanging around the racetrack.
Did you race ever?
No, I was. Fortunately, I got smarter than that. I played a lot.
Got chased by a panther. You're like, ah.
Yeah, well, I didn't get that smarter. Unfortunately, I ended up doing some rodeos, bareback bronc riding.
That is significantly more dangerous, I feel.
Yes, it probably was. And I ended up on the floor a lot.
Oh, my goodness.
But, and I played polo for 4 years. And I went to a high school that actually played horse polo.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like find that nowadays.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to find, yeah. But that was fun. So I, broke a lot of bones in horses. But.
Yeah, well, it's such a dangerous sport, and what's funny to me is somebody who doesn't really know it that well. You see the jockeys, and they have to be a certain size because that's for speed, right? They need to weigh so much. Yeah. You have these small people on these enormous animals. They must be incredibly fit to do what they do.
I've always said a jockey is the most fit athlete you'll ever find, pound for pound. You go in that jock's room and you go, wow, look at these guys. I mean, there's no fat.
Yeah.
There's just everything is a muscle, and they've got to keep their weight down, and so they don't want to get too muscly,
Yeah.
But they're all chiseled in there, and it's a dangerous sport, I mean, jockeys get killed every now and then.
Yeah, because unlike football, which is dangerous itself, and I just picked that one at random, there's lots of dangerous sports as well, you can die, and there's also an animal involved.
Yeah.
And, it's a domesticated animal, but still, it's an animal, so.
Yeah, when you fall off, chances are he's going to run over you.
Yeah, oh my goodness gracious.
But, it's, I was doing some endurance racing for a while, which is like one horse, two men, two riders, and it's called a ride and tie. So you go out, you might have a 30 mile course. So one guy rides the horse, goes up, gets him out there 3-4 miles, ties him up and starts running. Your partner has been running, he sees the horse, gets on it, and you leapfrog each other. It's really a lot of fun.
That does not sound fun at all to me.
Well, it wasn't for me one time. My horse didn't see a small creek bed, and he did a somersault.
Oh my God.
I came off, broke my clavicle, 4 ribs, concussion, and was out.
I'm sure.
And the guy behind me on a horse, he went over the top of me, and he thought later, I thought I hit you. I said, well, thanks for stopping. He said, hey, it's a race. Come on. What could I do? He said, I'm a vet, not a, And so eventually a runner came along, and my partner came along and found me, and I was coming to at the time. So they found him.
I can actually ask this. It's not just an idiom. How hard is it to get back on the horse after something like that happens?
Fortunately, the horse didn't want me on him anymore.
Okay.
So I had a little recovering to do because I'd broken my clavicle and a couple of ribs.
Yeah.
And a concussion,
Ribs are the worst because everything you do with a broken rib. Oh my God. You can't sneeze, you can't laugh.
Well, it's funny because when you come off a horse in the front, you go over, most of the time you'll break your clavicle. And I'm in the jock's room one day years ago. I said, you broke your clavicle. Did you get a little bump here like I have? He said, Joe, we all broke our clavicle. He said, yes, we have a little dent there, yeah. Okay.
It's a rite of passage,
so
apparently.
I'm one of the guys now, yeah.
How do you attract, maybe it doesn't work this way, so correct me if I'm wrong, but how do you attract like top talent, top horses to your racetrack? I imagine with one that's as iconic as something like Del Mar, it does a lot of the work, but how's that kind of exchange work in general? Like, what's the circuit? Only the big horses run at X amount of places.
Yeah, purse money is the key out there, obviously, and but with Del Mar, it's location, and I think if our purses may not be as high as some other track, but it sure is a lot nicer in Del Mar than it is in New York or somewhere like that. So it's that's a draw. And Breeders' Cup, when they come in, they kind of take over and use all our employees. We have a very good relationship with them. They make the most money they make. They go from track to track. Is at Del Mar here.
Okay.
And basically because it's not just who we are, but it's where we are, and we get a lot of people, a lot of the English people come, the Great Britain people, the French, all different countries will show up with horses. The Japanese have been very big in horse breeding now lately. So
really, is that a new development?
In fact, it's been the last few years they've really kicked into it. They have a nice racetrack there. They have the Japan Cup, which is a big race that they have in Tokyo. But so they were. In fact, they won our big $4 million race here this year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we were all cheering for them for some reason because they've come up in a big way. They've put a lot of money into it, and
well, it must help the entire sport, right?
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
When it goes international, and that's obviously a push that's happening across lots of different sports. How do you fit in with other American sports leagues? Does that have any impact on equestrianism in general? Like it's not cannibalized by something like the Padres in any way, right?
No, I don't think so. I think, we've got a certain fan base, I'll say, that people like, that's in betting, obviously. At Del Mar, it's more of a party and a betting, or here.
The one time I went the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick's.
Yeah,
Definitely a party when I went there.
Yeah. No matter where they go, they're going to.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. We ran into them once, actually, one of our shows. They probably made a cameo in one of our episodes.
Yeah, that's true. No, it's it's a good place to have a party, and we market it as a happening place, not just as a racetrack.
Yeah, well, again, as somebody who's not like super plugged into equestrianism but finds it very interesting anyway as a subject, I've gone to the racetrack for that exact reason. Just like it's a place to hang out. It's a great place to spend a day. You walk around, there's the races happening, but the venue itself is also part of the draw, I think.
Yeah, I think it is too. Yeah, we've tried to push that more than anything. I mean, we get great horses. I mean, the Breeders' Cup loves coming here. I mean, there's, $14 million worth of purse money and some great races. So you get the best horses from all over the world. And it's been a great marketing tool, actually, for us, because all those people from Ireland and England and South America will come here for the first time and say, oh, wow. I mean, let's face it, it's a wow factor here. Not just because of fine management, but it's also because of where we are. Well,
because when I think, again, from the outside, when I'm thinking of the larger places like Kentucky, which is beautiful. I mean, there's beautiful places in Kentucky, but it's hard to compete with San Diego when it's so sunny all the time. And when they come, how long are they staying? They're living here for like a stint? They don't just come in through a weekend, right, and then run a couple races and leave?
A lot of times we've seen people come here, for a few days, and then next year they come out for a week or so.
Oh, really? Well, that speaks volumes.
So it's good for the local economy, too. This place is pretty full every night with a lot of high-end people. So
that was another thing I wanted to get into, and I was told a story right before we started by the owner, whose name is Richard, I believe is his name, correct?
Jeffrey Strauss.
Jeffrey, sorry. Was it Jeffrey that we met, or was it Richard that we met? Regardless.
Yeah, Richard is. Yeah, I know Richard. Yeah.
He told me a story that in 2020 it must have been, because it was during COVID, before Thanksgiving, the night before Thanksgiving, this place it caught fire.
Yeah, and so I watched it. That was in the press box watching.
Unbelievable. Gosh. He told me that it happened, and then you called him and then offered to host their next day, which was Thanksgiving, which obviously for a restaurant is a very big day.
Yeah.
And you hosted 500 people at the suite over at Del Mar.
Yeah.
And A, I think that speaks to you and your character, but then B, beyond that, in a larger sense, it speaks to the community that's fostered here in Del Mar. Even we were talking to the server right before we started, and when we came in, obviously people knew each other, and it feels like a community here. And this is at a higher end restaurant too, and there's still that sense of community of people coming here.
Yeah, I think so. I think especially during the racing season, I'll come in here 3 or 4 times. During there, it's just the same people.
Yeah.
That's so and so's table. You can't sit there. So I mean, and Jeffrey does an amazing job. Jeffrey is an amazing chef. The food here is amazing.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'll make any other restaurant mad, but this is about the tops of the list of places to eat, and that does well for us. I mean, we can say, hey, we're right across the street from one of the best restaurants in the country. And so this neighborhood is growing up around the track. When the track was here and Bing Crosby put it here, there was nothing here. I mean, if you wanted dinner somewhere, you had to drive into La Jolla. And I remember those days, even as a small kid, teenager, where are we going to dinner? Well, we're going to La Jolla.
That's interesting to me, because you said that the track had been here since like the 1920s, so it's 50 years, and nobody thought to like build out industry around the track, even though it was still here.
Yeah, it was kind of sitting here all by itself, lonesome.
Yeah, but now it's the center of this community, and in lots of ways, this whole area of town. It's a landmark.
Yeah.
In the very literal sense, where like you will use it to direct yourself to different. I do, because I'm new to San Diego and I'm very bad with directions. But
yeah. So see, Jeffrey owns this place. He said, I'm right across the street from the track, and I'm over there saying, I'm right across the street from Jeffrey's restaurant.
Amazing. Yeah, you guys use each other as counterpoints.
That's where I got a free glass of water for nothing. Yeah.
Well, it was club soda. I mean, we take care of our guests. Where do you think racing, actually before I get to that question, because I find that interesting too, but the name of this place, I am told, was named after a horse that you owned. Is that correct? Pamplemousse?
No, Pamplemousse is actually French for grapefruit.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that's right. My French is pretty bad. But
well, rich now. It looks stupid.
yeah,
No, leave that in.
yeah, yeah. If he thinks of me as a grapefruit, okay, I was named
Yeah,
after
sure,
him.
whatever. That's the name of a horse. Where is horse racing going right now? Is it gaining popularity? Because I know that NBC now runs Belmont Stakes races on. They broadcast them. I feel, and maybe it's just me moving to San Diego because I'm relatively new here myself, but it feels a little bit more top of mind than it would have been even back, 10, 20 years ago when I would have been in high school or something. I didn't really feel like I knew that much about it. Maybe it's my own interest, but do you feel like there's a growing market right now for horse
Well,
racing?
I think in areas, probably the number of markets has shrunken, but the market itself is probably pretty healthy.
Okay.
It is in Southern California. Northern California, they're through with they're eventually one time 3 racetracks. Now all those 3 tracks are gone. There's a fair circuit up there, but when they kind of shut down the Northern California, we put a very large hunk of money on our bottom line because of that betting that was in the North, stayed in the North. Now betting is coming down here on our horses. So it's I hated to see it close down because it's a market that was kind of fun, and there were 3 tracks at one time, and then there were 2, and then there was 1, and now there none. But the fair circuit that's up there that runs quite a few of those racetracks.
Is this a close-knit group, the race circuit in general? Because it doesn't seem that large, so I imagine everybody kind of knows each other.
Well,
to a certain
the
degree.
employees, it's on a, circuit, so it's the same employees that are at Santa Anita, for instance, and will come down here.
When you say that, do you mean like farriers, or is it more?
Yeah, they're horseshoers, and of course the trainers. You can have as much as 2,000 head of horses on that backstretch.
Wow.
And there's 1,000 people taking care of them.
Yeah.
So it's and they're really good horses too.
Yeah.
So you have a challenge always of keeping the place spotless and because we're an attraction to cameras, and you want to look your best all the time. So one of it's a great problem to have, is trying to keep painting the joint and making it look good, and so Del Mar's always had a special place in racing, and it's just where it is, what time of year it is, the flavor about it.
Yeah.
When I worked the 3 tracks, Santa Anita, Hollywood, here, I swear when I came down here, my shoulders went down. It was just a happier time,
Yeah.
You could smell the ocean. You could hear Bing Crosby playing that record,
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's. I try to keep that flavor.
Yeah, because I think that's the vibe of the town of San Diego in general, right?
Yeah.
It's a much more laid-back place, certainly more than LA, which is very uptight. Yeah. I find it fascinating. It's a very interesting area. I always find horse racing interesting because there's like this elegance about it, and yet at the same time, you're around, animals that are pooping, and you're doing real work. There's people shoveling things, but at the same time, there's this veneer of
the mushroom growers like us. That's where it all ends up.
That's your secondary market.
All those trucks in the morning when they go out there, you go to the mushroom.
Amazing.
Growers.
I hope they're not serving them here,
Well,
but maybe they're.
You'll never know.
If that's not an endorsement, I don't know what it is.
I got an award the other night. When you get old, they give you a lifetime achievement stuff.
I hope that's true.
Yeah, trust me. No matter how bad you've been, they still get it. You're
Good, I got something to look
You're
forward
going to get a glass thing that says, but I was going to get up and say, well, I really appreciated the meal because the mushrooms were there, and I know that where our horse poop goes. But I was sitting there with my 4 daughters, and they said, "Dad, don't do that."
They probably made the right call there.
They did. Yeah.
My daughter would have prodded me to make that joke, 100%. She's also 4.5, so that's part of it as well.
Trust me, when they grow up, they'll protect you. Yeah.
Good, I'm looking forward to that.
You're an idiot, Dad. But don't do that. Okay.
Good. Joe, you're a fascinating person. Thank you so much for being on. It was great talking to you and learning about
Yeah.
this history. What an incredible backstory to everything.
Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers.